Hey you guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my October wrap-up, and it's a partial win, but partial not, because, you know, life. So let's just get into it. So for October, I ended up finishing everything but 2 books. Yeah, I finished everything but 2 books. Yes, I can count. Out of the 8 books I have. So we're going to count that and we're going to go ahead and get into the reviews once I figure out my life with my bullet journal. Okay, so the first book I finished in October, or well, one of the books, because I'm not going in order because I did not stack my books up in that order and I'm too lazy to fix it. And that is You by Carolyn Kepnes. This is an adult thriller novel following Joe, who is the bookstore owner, as this lovely girl named Beck walks into his store. He not only falls head over heels for her, but we start to see his obsession unfold into something rather stalkerish and creepy. This is also this is the book that the TV show is based off of, blah blah blah. And I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars, aside from the fact that the cover is all around creepy with Penn Badgley's face. I'm just going to cover you there, hun. Staring deeply into your soul. I really enjoyed the format of this book. I thought that it was like a weird, I've said this in my currently reading, and I'm pretty sure I said this somewhere else, but it gave me a really weird Lolita sense where we got really into the stalker's head and we got into the stalker's head, but instead of kind of seeing, like, being reviled or disgusted from it, we ended up really starting to relate to it and to relate to the stalker and relate to everything else that was going on. And then he would say something like, really jarring, and you would be reminded that this man is not someone you should be rooting for. He is the opposite. You should be hoping that he dies in a hole, dark and alone for the rest of his days, or lives alone in a dark hole for the rest of his days. But it also doesn't help that kind of everyone else in this book is just as unlikable because of how Joe twists it, and even though you really hate Beck, you find yourself kind of empathizing for her because she is this really kind of broken girl who Joe heavily idolizes, and his idolization becomes something a lot darker and a lot creepier than most fascinations or like idealizations will get to. And I just would highly recommend this. Like, Joe is literally the worst human ever, and like he's just annoyingly relatable in the sense that the things that he has done in terms of like stalking your crush on the internet and like getting to know them via there, or like hoping that they'll come back to the bookstore and they'll fall madly in love with you. Like, these are things that we all do to some extent, but you know, we don't go and like break into her house and steal her panties and put it in a box somewhere, or watch her from across the street as she has sex with a partner. You know, we don't do those things. At least I hope you guys don't, because I certainly don't. Literally, I think this book has made me very paranoid, and I don't want to walk into a bookstore anytime soon, but as I'm filming this, The Starless Sea comes out the day after this video, like the day that the day after I am filming this video. And so I'm just going to keep my head down and like find the books that I need to get there and go, because I'm not about someone falling for me and stalking me from a bookstore encounter. But yeah, highly recommend. I don't know if I'll pick up the second book. I've heard so many mixed things about the second book. You either love it, but the majority seem to really hate it. But I just kind of want to see where it's going to go. The problem that I read some of the snippet in the back, and it does lose some of that second person perspective that we have in this one. So I don't know. I think I might like borrow it on Kindle on like my library and just like hope for the best and see if I like it. But if not, then like this is just a standalone. This is where it ends, and I'm okay with that. The next book that I ended up reading in October was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is a mystery thriller, a YA mystery thriller, dark academia, which have become one of my favorite tropes of all time, following Stevie as she enrolls and is accepted into this very prestigious school. Essentially, the school runs on like the concept that if you like one thing and you're very obsessed with it, you can come to this school and study it specifically. So she's really into true crime, so she has all of her classes kind of based around true crime. She has a project based around true crime. But on top of that, there is a layer of mystery because several years ago when the school was first founded, the founder's wife and daughter were soon kidnapped and later murdered. So Stevie comes here in hopes of kind of solving this mystery and hopefully bringing like some closure to this family, despite, I believe, I can't spoil that part, just kidding. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Stevie's character. I thought that her anxiety on a lot of levels is very similar to mine, so I found her really relatable, as well as this kind of love for true crime and this super like fixation on it that kind of helps her get through her day. The one thing that the couple of things that did ding me were the fact that it was really slow. Even for a thriller, I felt that this was really slow. We saw a lot of like day-to-day stuff until about like halfway through the book, maybe even a little more than that. And then everything picked up really quickly. And then there was like a layer of mystery on top of the main mystery. And like, to me, the ending also felt really rushed. Like, I think I need to go back having like, you know, when I pick up the second book, having to like reread the last couple of pages, because it just kind of, it's like it solved the first mystery without solving the first mystery, and then we solve the second mystery, but not really, and then another mystery gets tossed up on that one, but it wasn't much of a mystery, she just didn't know. And I also felt like the love interest as well, like the romance happened really quickly and really awkwardly, and like they had never really flirted or interacted much in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they were like kissing in front of a fireplace, and it was just a little jarring to see that like weird development there. I'm hoping the second book rectifies that and we get to see more of what is going on. But we will find out in the second book. When I pick that up, I don't know. Probably soon, because I'm really digging this dark academia kick that I'm going on. But I'm also like, I can't find a lot of books that are about dark academia, so I'm probably gonna like slow down my devouring, I don't know how to, my reading of dark academia for the sake of, you know, like not running out of things to read about, because I have found it is my aesthetic and it works. The next book that I read for October was Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is a classic, as you guys should know. It's like a weird diary epistolarian form of writing where we follow these cast of characters as they realize that Dracula is not entirely human, and he's kind of after like Mina's blood, and like in order to protect Mina from the fate of Lucy, who is the other like main girl that we saw, they have to figure out and get to the bottom of who Dracula is and how to get rid of him and all that stuff. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. If you guys follow me on Goodreads or on Twitter, you know my struggle with this book. I went into this book not necessarily having the highest of hopes, because it is literature, like classic literature, and classic lit is always like a hit or miss for me. But this was just a lot. I was really enjoying the first part. I really liked the first part. There's a lot, like I can see the literary merit. I can see like the whole metaphor with like repressed homosexuality and repressed sexuality in the Victorian ages. I saw a lot of that. There were a lot of gay undertones and overtones and just in your face tones. So I really enjoyed that like first part. And then we get to the second part where things actually start picking up. And literally I need to contact Bram Stoker from the beyond, or like meet him in hell or in heaven or purgatory or something, and just tell him that literally a woman or a man thinking that a woman is a lesser sex to men is not a personality trait, because literally, I've said literally like 10 times over in that sentence, every single character, probably minus for Dracula, had a thought of like, oh my god, women are so crappy, they're not that great to men. Or like they will have mentioned, like I think there's a line in the book where Dr. Seward, I believe, or it was Von Helsing, who says, oh my gosh, Mina is such a great woman because she has a woman's touch but a man's brain. And then Lucy would sit there and go, oh, we are not worthy to the noble men of the world. And it's like, it was honestly every single character. And then the annoying thing is that Mina is like this wonderful girl who like didn't say much to being like, oh yeah, women are the lesser sex. And I was like, okay, fine, finally we have one character. And then toward the end, she was like, I am useless, and I wish I could be more useful to the men. And I about gave up. It was just so frustrating because it was just a constant thing, and like you can really tell that after a while, it wasn't the character's personality that felt this, it was Bram Stoker putting his thoughts into the page and just going with that. Which made no sense because Mina figured out basically everything and had enough guts to like face down Dracula himself. And then like the boys are over here like, no, men are greater than women. But then when freaking what's his name, Jonathan Harker sees Dracula in the corner over there, and it's not even sure if it's him because it's a younger version of him. He stops functioning as a human being. But Mina's over here whose best friend just died, and she's like trudging on. Really, Bram, really. I had to suspend a lot of disbelief while reading this. Aside from the fact that this is about vampires, you know, and like the whole like women are less than men kind of situation, but it was like it's all written in diary form. Everything is like diaries and letters, and it's just all verbatim. And I don't know, maybe they were on something, maybe they were all on opioids or something during this book, but I can barely remember what I had for lunch today, let alone what my boss said to me and the facial expression she was making and how I felt during it. Like, I just didn't get it. But I did enjoy it, and I understand the literary merit. However, it is not the first vampire book, because Carmilla is, and that is overtly gay. So we're going to have to pick that up sometime soon, and I'm sorry I dropped that book. I meant to, like, gracefully drop it under the pile, but it did not do that. One second. The next book I picked up was A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. Again, another classic. I think I'm good for classics for the next couple of months, but it's fine. This is one of his comedic plays following this cast of characters who kind of get lost in the forest and they're fairies who make them fall in love with the wrong person, and someone's head gets turned into a donkey because to symbolize that he's literally an ass. That's all I can really give you as a summary, because like I feel like everyone understands the concept. This has been made into a lot of Disney random like retellings, so yeah. But I gave this, I believe, I gave it a 3.75 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I love the illustrations going on in this book. It was just so wonderful and added a lot of depth to it. I love the characters, but I think my biggest thing is that I have a habit of picking up Shakespeare's plays that are meant to be, honestly, all plays are meant to be on the stage, but the plays that I have picked up thus far outside from school are meant literally more for, like, the viewing pleasure, not the reading pleasure. So I think that kind of dinged me, because, like, I feel like if I had watched the play, I would have understood all of, like, the jokes and everything, and it would not have flown over my head, but sadly some of them did. As well as, like, I think I'm more of a, like, Shakespeare tragedy kind of gal. I'm not much of his comedy, so. But I really did still enjoy it and would recommend it if you are looking for some giggles. The second to last book that I read will come as no surprise to you, because I am trash and I feel like I'm just going to make it like a yearly thing to reread this book on October. And that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is the Barnes & Noble Classics edition. I believe it's the leather-bound edition. I forget which one it is. It's one of those editions, but it doesn't say. I think I took the sticker off, but it's fine. I had reread this originally because I wanted to start. Oh, actually, I should tell you what this is about. This is about young Dorian Gray, who kind of is a little bit of a vain young man. He kind of has his painting painted for him and realizes that he is gonna have to grow old while his painting kind of mocks him and stays young forever, and he wishes the roles were reversed. And so this follows his life as that happens. Every sin he commits, the painting becomes more decrepit and old and ugly, while he remains this young, beautiful, bouncing boy. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I originally wanted to reread this because I had made a vlog on my first time annotating using sticky notes. Like, first time annotating books since, like, university for fun. Like, sticky notes. Unfortunately, my vlog footage did not want to cooperate with my computer. And exporting was a crime, apparently, so that did not happen. But I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Annotating it definitely brought a whole new level, and I'll definitely be doing that more. I think that Oscar Wilde's writing is wonderful. I loved that now that I'm annotating and reading a bit more critically again, I started seeing lots of threads of, like, innocence and the concept of loving the artist and not, like, loving the artist for their art and not for the artist, as well as, like, his whole movement on the fact that art kind of exists for art's sake. It's up to the consumer to interpret it however they may want, but not necessarily should not be held against the writer or the creator for whatever interpretations you may create, because that is all on you. And I think it's a concept that's pretty much lost Nowadays, I see a lot of people always complaining about how like writers writing something, they must like it's what they represent, it's what they stand for, when it's not the case, you know. You don't always agree with your characters. You write them to show a point. And I love this book so much that I now have 3 copies. Yes, 3 copies. I'm probably gonna get a 4th. But the 3rd copy that I own is the uncensored version, so look out for that when I read it, because that'll be a doozy. And the last book is one that I borrowed from a friend, and since I keep forgetting to give her back her copy, that I still have it with me. So sorry, Courtney, I love you. I'm going to get this back to you when I see you this week, hopefully. And that is Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. As you guys know, I recently read The Shining by Stephen King last month, and I read the Dr. Sleep because, you know, the movie's coming out this month. I read The Shining 2 months ago. Yes. Not October, but September. And I read Dr. Sleep for the movie that comes out in like a couple of days. And if you guys don't know, The Shining, like duology, follows the Torrance family as they go to this hotel, and we find out that Danny, their son, has this ability to see things that aren't necessarily for everyone's viewing pleasure, and see that this hotel has kind of sinister background and has more plans to it for the family than intended. The sequel follows, I believe, 13 or so years after. Danny's essentially all grown up. He is a big boy now with a big boy job. No, I don't think it's 13 years after. I think it's a little longer than that. I think it's like 20 or so years. But he's a big boy job, and he has been hiding a lot of his demons to himself. But now everything is not only out in the open, he also has to deal with the fact that he has a younger, like, mentee. He has to be the mentor before he was the mentee nowadays, as well, today in this day and age, as well as the fact that he has to protect her from these kind of frightening little creatures that, I guess, eat your soul, your life force, to stay alive. And thereafter, this young girl named Abra. I'm going to say Abra. I'm going to throw her name up here. But right now, I'm going to say Abra, because she is a pretty strong girl she's a girl with a really strong shining. Like, she had, this is not a spoiler, she, as a baby, ended up, I guess, seeing 9/11 before it actually happened. Yeah. So, I give this a 5 out of 5 stars. Stephen King, as you guys know from my last video, is one of my favorite authors of all time. I love reading his work. His, like, way that he writes is just so, like, wonderful. Like, he builds everything up suspensefully. And thankfully, unlike The Shining, we don't see a lot of focus on body parts, like, unnaturally so. So I really enjoyed that. I loved the fact, like, his monsters are wonderful. He builds up the suspense without overdoing it. And before, I used to have an issue, I still sometimes do, have an issue with like those long drawn out sentences that he used to do, but now that I'm kind of like a bit more seasoned with his works, I'm finding to really enjoy it, though sometimes it does get a little long. I really love Danny and Abra's relationship. I think they have a really wonderful friendship, and I just love them so much. Also, Stephen King's monsters are just frightening. Like, I don't want to know how it's going to look in the movies, because, like, it's just a frightening situation, but I'm still excited, and I want to see how that'll work out. But, yeah. Really enjoyed the series. Would highly recommend. If you're not one to be picking up chunky books like this, highly recommend the audiobook. I really enjoyed the audiobook for The Shining. I don't know much for Dr. Sleep, but I mean, like, it is what it is. And that is it for my October wrap-up. I'm kind of annoyed at myself because I was like, yeah, I'll just leave this book that I've been really wanting to read until like the last possible minute. And then the book that I read last, which was Dracula, took me forever because I was so done with it that I did not get to the book that I wanted to read. So in January, I'm definitely reading Ilustrado by Miguel Siuco, and that's final. But if you guys have any questions on these books that I read, I will leave my full reviews on Goodreads down below. All of them will be linked. Until next time, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. Please hit subscribe. I upload videos twice a week. Hit like if you like these videos, and I will see you guys in my next video. I'm only speaking really fast because I'm like kind of, there it is, suffering from like a semi-cold. So like this area is just like, she's not having it. But I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.